one of my earliest Christmas memories really defines my concept of home. It's walking downstairs on Christmas morning in my pajamas with the little footies, seeing the tree and snow outside, and it's the way I view what home looks like.
We have been married for 11 years. We've been a couple for just about 17. We measure from 2003, Thanksgiving-ish, because it was somewhere around that time. Hi, I'm Chris Gerson.
And I'm Tarah Flanagan, and we live in
Astoria, New York.
We met at the Actors Theater of Louisville. We were in a production of Christmas Carol. At that point, Chris was based in LA, and I was based in New York City. But by the time the show closed, we'd been dating for, about a week, so we decided that committing to an exclusive long-distance relationship was just the next logical step. No, we knew it sounded completely ridiculous.
We might have really only dated for a day.
Sometimes it works out that way.
We are actors. We do a bit of film and television and the occasional play in New York City, but most of our work is in America's regional theaters. So even though we officially live in the same place, being employed often means being apart from each other and away from home.
With the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, theaters across America are shuttered. And so this is the longest stretch of time we've both been living at home.
So it occurred to us that we've never actually spent the holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving in our own home together, the place where we, live. So where have we actually been?
Okay, we can figure this out. We met in 2003 in Louisville at the Actors Theater. My family, the Flanagans, stayed with me in the actor housing, and you drove to your brother Vic's home in High Ridge to see your family, the Gersons.
If 2020 has taught us anything, it's that attempting to predict the future is foolish. But at this point, it does look like, in December, it will still be too risky to travel. So this year, we will be home.
The realization that this will be the first Christmas we've spent in our own home got us thinking about that word. What makes a place home?
Do our experiences tie us to a place? Our traditions, our family? When do circumstances turn friends into family? What made all those places feel like home, away from home? How would you describe home?
I can remember the oven and being at the height of the oven and, the checkered linoleum on the floor.
Home is wherever a grandmother is.
Being together.
Together. Unconditional love.
Love.
Family.
The essence of home to me is family.
That could certainly include anybody who's close to you.
Chosen family or with friends.
Home is not a house or a building. Home is us.
I wish it was cleaner. Home is where my family is safe.
Home means family.
So we will be here. What should we do?
We don't know what to do.
What do you guys make for the holidays? What are your favorite foods?
Chris, what are those Swedish cookies called that Mom used to make?
My mother would make these kind of Swedish cookies.
We have no Swedish background at all, so this was appropriating someone else's tradition.
These are my mother's cookies. This is the actual box. We were Jewish and Italian, but somehow we make these Swedish rosette cookies. Read us that recipe.
You want 1 cup flour.
1 cup of flour.
Well, my favorite dish was the stuffing.
My mother, every year, regardless of how many or how few people are coming, will make a turkey
or ham or goose.
Just a whole lot of Lebanese food.
a duck,
spinach pies, kibbeh,
a roast.
Always stuffing.
In years past, when we'd have, 10, 15, 20 people coming to eat, now that there's like 4 of us at home, I see the duck coming out of the oven and I know I'm pretty much the person who's gonna be eating like half to 3/4 of the duck.
Thinking about Thanksgiving is you have a turkey and nothing else American.
I basically went vegetarian, but I made my mom continue to make turkey for Thanksgiving for years because the smell of it was right.
So we have one white person who married into the family. Once in a while he makes a pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Or cranberry sauce.
I never ever liked the canned variety.
London broil.
With Yorkshire pudding.
And my mom makes candied yams, sweet potato pie, and a sweet potato souffle. Why do you need all three of these things?
But at Christmas, my mom would make stuffed dates, and she would put it on the buffet in the dining room. And so then I would make up excuses that I had to go into the dining room to go through to the kitchen.
An amazing rum cake that his mother used to make. And
Yes.
it was strong.
Butter rum cake of mine is usually in high demand because I have a very heavy wrist when it comes to the rum.
So really what it comes down to is what you need is food, lots of it, and it can't be good for you.
Cookies.
Cookies?
Do you remember eating these when you were a tiny boy?
Oh yeah, we had a dining room. No one ever went in there.
Sure.
And they resided, all the cookies that were made in the dining room.
That's what the room was for.
On the sideboard, which we didn't use for anything but putting cookies on.
It was a cookie display
It's
area.
just a cookie display area. It was weird if I went into the dining room. You know, like, what are you doing in there? There were many things that remind me of my mom. I lost her very unexpectedly around the holidays. And I was working at the Cleveland Playhouse.
My heart wasn't in any of it. I was just so sad, and I was like, I don't want to put the decorations up, and I don't want to turn the music on, and you just said no, that's not who my mother was, and we're going to decorate the apartment, and we're going to listen to Christmas music, and we're going to make cookies for everybody. Like the act of doing that and knowing that it was for other humans to bring them joy made me feel better.
Okay, decorations. How do you decorate?
We didn't decorate the tree until Christmas Eve, and it was supposed to be a surprise.
We brought it home on Christmas Eve because that's when you put up the tree.
When we first got married, we didn't have a lot of money. We would go out onto our property and cut down a big old cedar tree.
It's possible I've almost burned down apartments by trying to like make up my own menorah out of like a shoebox and tinfoil.
I just never knew how much work it was to get the house decorated.
My grandmother, who we call Teta in Arabic, and she would get those foam Christmas balls, and we would stick sequins into them with pins.
And we would cut out wrapping paper, cut out all the decorations and put a different scene in each window.
Tinsel on a tree, no.
Tinsel, thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Never had tinsel.
I don't know what that is.
It's kind of out of style now, but I'm high on tinsel.
I love tinsel and would use it if I could.
I like it because it makes me think of my childhood.
I'm anti-tinsel.
I have no clue what that is.
Ooh, lights on the tree. Every year there is a debate.
White lights.
I like multicolored lights.
White lights.
My mom tends to like the lights to be white.
Multicolored.
I love multicolored lights.
We tried one year with multicolored lights. It didn't go over so well.
White lights.
Multicolored.
Multicolored.
Multicolored lights.
Generally, I like white lights.
Multicolored.
I've also seen blue lights. No, I don't vote for those at all.
My mom has got the mechanical deers that light up and that their heads move and they graze.
Thumbs up on yard decoration.
If I could, I would have a lawn filled with automated deer.
I vote for yard decorations, and the tackier the better.
Yes, yes, yes.
You like decorations in your yard? You like it to look like Santa Claus threw up in the front yard?
Yes.
We don't do a lot, but we're not opposed.
I'm pro yard decorations.
Any kind's fine with me.
Real tree for me.
Plastic trees, they look fine, but I really wouldn't want one in my house.
Real tree for me.
My father became enamored of aluminum trees.
Aluminum Christmas trees were manufactured in Wisconsin.
An artificial tree is a direct attack on the spirit of Christmas that should not only be forbidden by convention, but also by law.
Do you remember in Louisville, you bought me a little pack of Christmas decorations, and I still have it, and it is somewhere in this closet.
Oh, hey, look at this. Here they are. Look at the little tiny ones that are mixed in here.
Oh, it's the tiny one.
This is a very old ornament from my grandmother.
And look, it's got like a little plaque that says Tarah on it.
mother always did this. She always had a single electrical candle in each window of the house, right? I always thought that was very pretty.
Oh, I think your brother brought this back for you from England.
Oh,
This is my favorite ornament.
I love this. Betty gave me this, company manager at Cleveland Playhouse.
It has bric-a-brac on it, something that featured heavily in the 70s and 80s.
This was made by Audrey Morrison, who played Esther Jane in 2018 in The Christmas Story.
Oh my gosh, I made this. 1978.
That's a good one, because I made one just like it.
That's the thing, like the Christmas decorations and ornaments are so special because they are so rare, because you only see them once a year. Okay, so what about presents?
Christmas gift opening is strictly on Christmas morning.
I like to open them on Christmas Day.
Or Christmas Day, people.
We always did one small gift on Christmas Eve.
The argument we have about whether we're going to open presents Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Here's the way it works.
When I usually open presents is on Christmas Eve.
Having not ever celebrated Christmas growing up, I was terribly perplexed that people opened presents on Christmas Eve, and I did not actually know that that was an option.
I believe my happiest Christmas memories revolve around the times when our two children were young, and to see the joy in their faces when they opened their presents.
It was a favorite thing to not only receive the gifts, but watch my dad's reaction when we'd open up gifts.
My best Christmas present was probably my Nintendo Switch.
Dan surprised me with this handmade dulcimer, so you can't get anything much more special than that.
One year, my cousin Johnny got a Dukes of Hazzard car in a jump, and I couldn't believe it.
I was really hoping for this. It was a kitty.
When my brother and I got our electric train for Christmas,
It was just like in Christmas Story when my dad said, well, look behind the drapery there. Isn't there one more present? And I went and looked behind the drapery, and there was a red scooter. It was red.
Watching Harvey open the toy train that year was,
So good. It was like out of a movie. So he opened the box and tipped it, and the train just rolled out of the box perfectly. And he was like, a train! And like that was it. Like he was done. It was like he didn't, I think it was like 3 days before he opened another present.
So many of my feelings on the joy of gift giving are centered around children and childhood. Now, we had assumed
and hoped we would have children of our own. But it hasn't worked out that way. And we really feel that loss at this time of year. But we still want to find a way to remember and link up to that joy.
I think it's interesting, the thing that my father taught me about gift giving, great gifts are a combination of three things. Something about you, something about them, and something surprising. He bought me a tin soldier maker. And it was just magic. I don't know how old I was, but I couldn't have been more than like 8. It came with a cauldron where you would melt lead and tin together.
Just a soupçon of lead poisoning. Merry Christmas. So there was the year we made handmade candles. So my mom looked up how to make handmade candles, and we made them in milk cartons, and it would be this giant candle. My father's also a very good gift giver. He made me a dollhouse, a real wooden siding. It had a staircase, individual bricks, and it had electric lights. My mom bought me furniture for the dollhouse. And the idea that your parent would spend hours and hours and hours crafting something for you that was so beautiful is just such a testament to a parent's love.
What about traditions?
Is there something that you guys do every single year?
We like traditions.
What's the question?
I would always make my parents get very dressed up for the first night of Hanukkah. And it was like the one time of year my dad would wear a tie.
We'll have spontaneous jam sessions.
My mom would play the piano, and then we would sing the Christmas carols.
So rumpa-bum-bum, rumpa-bum-bum.
The picking out of the tree.
We spent a lot of time just watching movies.
The movie Elf.
Elf, yeah.
My mother has watched Godzilla hundreds of times.
A Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life.
Godzilla.
I get to carve the turkey, which meant looking at YouTube and figuring out how to carve a turkey.
Not Miracle on 34th Street.
Definitely make a fire in the fireplace.
Scrooged.
My mom would make potato latkes.
I go home and like, what are you watching? You're watching Godzilla.
In Beirut, Lebanon, where I grew up, we have a kind of like a portable chimney called the men'el, and we roast chestnuts.
One of the traditions I do on Christmas is to deliver food to food banks.
We usually would come downstairs, open up our gifts, and then he would make us go upstairs again and make believe that we were coming downstairs for the first time with the camera rolling.
My aunt blasting top 40s music and throwing a dance party that she forces everyone to get involved with while she belly dances.
My least favorite was getting fruit in my stocking.
Gotta get in bed, otherwise Santa Claus isn't gonna come.
There's like so much anticipation. It goes beyond the classic, like, well, there's gonna be gifts, better be good. It's like advent calendars, or like, you're slowly opening things up and you're sort of like, there's all sort of building anticipation through the last, 3 or 4 weeks of your normal life before this sort of magical break happens.
We've spent so much time on the road, you and I, over the years. And we've often said to each other, boy, wouldn't it be really great if we had just a certain amount of time just to be home together. And then suddenly the pandemic happens and you're like, well, be careful what you wish for.
So how are you guys feeling about the holidays this year?
The only way we were able to actually connect with family is Zoom calls.
My only real access to the outside world was through the computer.
Well, at one level, the pandemic has taken my idea of home and made me absolutely desperate to leave it. I'm here all the time.
As far as the holidays go, I don't know if we'll be spending them with our family.
Sharing the Christmas Eve and Christmas morning virtually.
I guess I don't know what's going to happen.
The isolation, as necessary as those things have been at times, there's a real longing in our heart for the intimacy of face-to-face. There's nothing like the hug of a grandchild. Maybe we'll not take that for granted as easily.
We've not ever been through anything like this pandemic.
Hope people will be willing to give up something of theirs so that other people can have something.
Being aware of the vulnerability of individuals.
Of others, right.
Especially in pandemic times, we're giving up a lot of things so that we can all have something.
My parents are older. I'm always trying to calculate the risks. And as much as I would love to just hop on a plane and go see them, I'm just really worried about the logistics of that. I thought about getting in a car and driving across the country because I figured that then would mitigate some of the exposure. But I actually read a pretty frightening account yesterday of a black man who got in a car, a Mercedes, to drive. I think he was driving from New York or New Jersey, and he's heading to the West Coast, and just had an incredibly harrowing detaining situation in southern Illinois for multiple hours. Imagining he was of the same mind that it would be safer to drive across the country because of the coronavirus. And because of the moment that we find ourselves in with profiling of people based on what they look like or the kind of cars that they're driving, it isn't a given. Fingers crossed, I'll be drinking eggnog and, putting sweet potato souffle in the oven or the back of the refrigerator come December 27th, but it isn't a given.
Yeah, actually, it's been really tough on me with what's going on in Lebanon. I feel like my roots are being torn away from me. The social movement here is very relatable to what's going on there.
If we're thinking about the country as our home, as our collective home, I think I have finally come into realizing how much work there is to do and actively trying to figure out what my part in that is.
We visit, anywhere from 3 to 4 families and bring gifts for their children. It's something that we do usually about a week or 2 before Christmas, and
Right.
just try to feel like, is there any way we can bless the community?
Many of them have gone through some really difficult times, and that's why they're refugees. They're here.
As far as home goes, there's so many people that are homeless. We should be thinking more about contributing so that everybody can have a home.
For me, home can be anywhere, in any building, in any place, if I am with my family.
The important thing about Thanksgiving is that it is about family, and it's sort of, there's nothing else that gets in the way.
I guess I've always viewed family as a kind of fundamental mutual sympathy.
My family at Christmas time is who I want to see the most.
I'm feeling so blessed to have you here.
And I managed to get a flight. I showed up, I think, at around 11:45, 11:50 on Christmas Eve. My mom just she screamed.
Family's the most important. There's nothing more important than your family.
That extended church family, that maybe they were away from their families and they needed a place to go, and we would invite them. It's a sacred time for us to remember our faith and what we believe.
I guess when I was a kid, the great magic of Christmas, this sort of beautiful, magical, special time, always had something to do with the biblical story of the birth and it having some connection to sacrifice. That it wasn't just about giving to others, but sacrificing for others. That was the gift.
I grew up in a secular household, and so my parents made sure that we were aware of the religious origins of the Christmas tradition, and we knew the Christmas story, but we didn't celebrate it as a religious holiday in my family, and yet I can very much relate to that. The idea that sacrifice does not diminish you, that giving of yourself to another person enriches you. Thank you. That was so helpful. Thank you.
We love you guys.
Mwah. So here we are in this apartment, our place in New York, and we do know what to do. We are on our own, but we are not adrift.
We have our family and our friends and our community. And so, we have what we need to make our house our home.